All right, welcome in 305 Guys on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick on the 5 Reasons Sports. I got Alex Donno. You can follow him at Alex Donno. Going to talk Dolphins today. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday, usually around this time, 105, 305, 205, 405, something like that. Prize Picks, use the code 5. That's right, make it easy. Use the code 5, F-I-V-E, not the number, spell it out. Put down your 5, get your 50. I am Donno. I do not declare myself a baseball expert anymore. I used to know everybody's batting average.
Oh, yeah.
No, anymore. I grew up knowing everything. I lived and died with the 86 Mets and all this stuff. I am not. I just when you disconnect from baseball, unfortunately, it's very hard to get back into it. It just is because there's just the commitment.
Too many games. There's 62 games a year. You miss like 20 of those and you're lost.
Too many games, and of course, it just everything sort of got out of control, and the payrolls and all the rest of that stuff. But I will say I've won 4 of my last 5 cards here. So yes, use the code 5 FIVE. I think it's easier to get money on the baseball than it is on the basketball or the football. So if that's what you're looking for, use the code 5, get your 50, and go go spend it wherever you want to spend it. All right. We'll get at the Dolphins, though. You can also play Prize Picks on Dolphins preseason games and NFL preseason games, and God help you if you do, although I have as well. Let's get into their preseason opener, which was a tie. You and I were both saying before the show, thank God they don't do overtime anymore. I've been to some of those on deadline. I remember being in Tampa, and Robert Baker caught a late touchdown for Robert Baker, the touchdown maker, only touchdowns in preseason. Now he's a rapper. He's had a touchdown to tie a game in Tampa. I remember being on the field waiting for it to end, and we're like, "Oh my God, they're going to keep playing." Thankfully, that didn't happen in this last one, but there were some takeaways, and I'll start with this. First thing, Mike McDaniel went with the starters. I don't think that was a huge surprise that he would do that. There was one key injury, which is Madison out for the season. They've already tried to replace him with another runner. Jalen Wright doesn't look great to me, so we're going to talk a little bit about Ollie Gordon the second. But I guess what I saw, even though it's hard to really gauge it so much because, again, you bring the subs in, they're playing against second stringers or third stringers. But pretty much what we saw is what we expected. Their front seven is going to be really good. Willie Gay was a great addition. Their secondary is playing 10 yards off of everybody. I saw Mike Hilton basically run towards his own end zone and allow a completion on 3rd and 16. I think the problems we believed they were going to have, they're likely going to have, except maybe the offensive line. Patrick Paul looked terrific. They better not have an injury to one of their tackles because that's the worst backup tackle situation I've literally ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, listen, one of my first positive takeaways is one that you just went with. Like Patrick Paul at left tackle looks like a freaking player, and there's really no perceivable weakness in his game in terms of how quickly he gets down the field and how nasty he is as a run blocker. His footwork looks really solid in pass protection. So, Chris Greer got himself a really good one when he drafted Patrick Paul, and he's probably blossoming even more quickly than I thought he would, based on, him heading into his second year now. Obviously, even though Tua started, the main receivers did not, but we saw good stuff from everybody named Washington. Malik Washington caught Tua's first 4 balls. Taj Washington made some plays. There was some good and some not so good at running back. I mean, I just kind of wonder, like, with the short yardage struggles, like how much of that is on the offensive line, how much of that is on Jalen Wright, who did not have a very good preseason performance. So short yardage concerns me a little bit. I was happy that Tua did get a little playing time because up until I don't know how long before the game, we had serious doubts about that. But, it sounded like with the joint practices not going very well for the offense, that was really something Tua lobbied for, that he wanted to get out there, basically, told Mike McDaniel, you need to let me play a little bit. So I'm actually happy that Tua did get some preseason work. I think there is some value in that. Outside of that, Ethan, like you said, it was pretty much expected, based on, and I wasn't at the joint practices. Obviously, I was following all the coverage of it, based on the way things sounded not so good in the joint practices. I guess the Dolphins played a little bit better in the preseason game than I thought, But that was primarily going up against second and third teamers from Chicago because they didn't play as many starters as the Dolphins did.
Yeah, and that's why it's hard to gauge this. I mean, I respect the fact that Tua always wants to play, so that's a positive here, and that is the kind of leadership he should be showing. You're right; both Washingtons looked good. I think we expected it from Malik. He had shown signs last year. Taj Washington didn't look like if that pick was going to pan out. That was a later pick. Our guy Austin Dobbins' tackle depth is atrocious, and yes, someone's going to get killed if any of the tackles can't start. They need to find a solution there. Obviously. I do think that the starting offensive line on paper, now you don't have Armstead, but if Paul can replicate what Armstead did when Armstead played or something close to it, which is going to be difficult because people forget how good Armstead was when he actually played. Right. Their starting offensive line has a chance to be their best in a while. Their front seven has the chance to be the best in a while. There are strengths on this team, which we've talked about. And then, you see what happens here with Hill and Waddle if they can both get on the field. You've added Westbrook as another potential target. Tight end is still a bit of a mess, although it was interesting to watch Durham Smythe drop a ball on the other side this time. I just, we don't really know what they're going to get from Waller. But they have some depth issues. There's no question. I mean, the secondary is, I don't know. I mean, how do we feel? I mean, they don't have Kohu actually. You've got Storm Duck. You've got, they've elevated a couple of guys we didn't anticipate that they would necessarily elevate. They bring in Hilton. They bring in Jack Jones, who should assume the other spot, you would think, based on his history. But I don't feel great about it. I mean, they're gonna have to get to the quarterback because otherwise, even a bad quarterback is going to have time to survey the landscape. And we saw that in the last game. The corners are playing so far up. Now, maybe this is just preseason. You're not really scheming up a lot. I get it. And Weaver's saving some stuff, but even the technique was not good. And this was not against an elite group either. So would be my concern here a little bit.
Yeah, and quarterbacks are going to, and not every team can execute it as well, but quarterbacks are going to be getting rid of the football really quickly against the Dolphins. They could potentially be hurt by screens if the front seven gets really aggressive. So it's going to be like a chess match all season long because for how long can Miami really hide the weaknesses at corner? So it's going to be a test as to how well you can scheme defensively and to the bodies that you do have back there being able to step up and playing better than how we perceive them so far. But another issue, Ethan, beyond the starters, this goes back to every conversation we had a year ago at this time. Boy, was that backup quarterback play uninspiring.
Yeah. Yes.
So Zach Wilson, we'll start with him because he's the supposed upgrade as the number 2. Did he ever have pocket presence in his career? Because he certainly didn't have any on Sunday. I thought I was watching Ryan Tannehill again, the way he was just kind of holding on to the football and taking unnecessary sacks.
And Alex, the one time he was sacked 4 times, but the one time he got rid of it should have been a pick 6. That right before the half, he threw that little floater to the side. I hate to say it because he was my guy, but that was a little Jay Fiedler memory there. That one should have gone the other direction. But this is when he was signed. The issue to me was he didn't seem with the Jets to be a very fast processor.
Nope.
And this is an offense that requires fast processing. That's what Tua does best. And so I get the athletic profile and upside for somebody like Wilson. And if your offensive line was still awful, I understand having a guy who could move back there a little bit, similar to what you had with Huntley last year.
Yeah.
But nobody is really Tua from a processing standpoint. That is the thing that's so underrated about him. Okay, and that is sort of his secret sauce, right? It's the anticipation, it's all that kind of stuff. But you brought in a guy who has never exhibited that attribute. And look, Mike McDaniel knows millions more about quarterbacks. He's forgot more than I could ever know. But it was an odd signing for me for that reason.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know because he just doesn't look like he knows. It's just like everything is just haphazard. He's got arm strength. He can move. I get the physical skills that are attractive, but I don't see his ability to get it out quickly, make the right read, and just run the offense competently. I think he might have some highs, but he's going to have a lot of lows.
I'll give him a certain amount of grace just because he hasn't actually played competitive football in about 2 years because he didn't play at all last year, Wilson. was a third stringer the entire year last year. And when he did get significant playing time, it was with the New York Jets, which obviously quarterbacks have not been in good situations there in a very, very long time. So, perhaps there's a little rust that may affect him processing in live time. So surely we'll see a lot more of him in the preseason, because we're probably not going to see Tua again. And so we're going to see a lot of Zach Wilson and a lot of Quinn Ewers. And for Ewers, it was just, it was a welcome to the NFL showing for him, right? I mean, two fumbles that he lost in the game. Took a long time before he found his first completion. That's just that was a pump your brakes type of performance. Because I'm still, pretty high on the long term for Quinn Ewers. I'm not necessarily saying he's ever a starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, but I think Quinn Ewers can end up having a serviceable NFL career, possibly get some starts somewhere, even if not here. And I still think he was a steal in the 7th round, but for as good as Ewers has practiced and how much he's flashed, you get out there in a semi-legitimate NFL situation and you see those rookie moments for him. So that's just, I guess I don't have a whole lot to take away, except for anyone who was trying to make Quinn Ewers a thing, that maybe he's your number 2 quarterback, or maybe he can push Tua for number 1. Oh, that was a back down to earth performance.
Please don't with that. Well, look, first thing, for a little grace for him, he was the one playing behind those tackles most of the time. So I don't know that he ever had any opportunity. I'm not expecting him to challenge anybody this year, but I do think the skill set that I saw in the 3 practices that I went to thus far, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up supplanting Wilson at some point as the number 2, because I do see a little bit more of what they would just need to just competently run the offense than I see from Wilson. I don't think they'll do that right away. I think they'll give Wilson opportunity, but yours feels more to me like backup quarterback. Like you bring him in, you run some of the same stuff. You don't try to do too much. The Wilson adventure. Look, we've been down this road with so many Dolphins backup quarterbacks over the years, from Ray Lucas on down. Okay. And whenever you have a backup quarterback who views himself as a playmaker, it's a problem. That's the way that I view it. To me, a backup quarterback is somebody you just come in, you cut it down to 70% of what the 100% of what. Now Huntley last year, they cut it way down. They wouldn't let him do anything.
Like 10% of the playbook.
Like 10%. But you try to get him to 60 to 70% of the playbook. Just do the things he does well and get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. That's all that should be. Zach Wilson views himself as a playmaker. That's why he's holding on to the ball as long as he is. I'll go on the record again. I mean, I said last year their biggest problem was going to be backup quarterback, because I didn't understand, you ditched Mike White. I get it, but you kept Skylar Thompson. I didn't think we'd seen enough from him in terms of being able to just competently run things. I don't think Wilson's just much higher upside, higher drafted Skylar Thompson to me. I still think you're going to have a lot of the same problems. All right, before we close here, and we appreciate everybody joining, we'll be back. We'll be back later in the week. As you look at what you want to see now in the next couple games, because Ollie Gordon showed some stuff. Jalen Wright really has not.
No.
In camp. I mean, where are we with that? Because they need a competent second back. They do, because I don't think Etienne is going to stay healthy the whole season, especially the way that they use him at times. So, who's that going to be?
I think it can be Gordon. I watch, probably too much college football, including Oklahoma State. And this is a guy who more so the year before really captivated me. In fact, he should have come out of Oklahoma State in 23, not in 24. That was a mistake for him. I mean, I'm assuming he was eligible. Maybe he wasn't draft eligible yet, but he really should have come out a year earlier than he did. I think Gordon can be that guy. So I want to see more prominent reps for him. I want to see, and kind of on that note, I want to see better production in short yardage situations, 3rd and 1, 3rd and goal from the 1-2 yard line. That's what I want to see situationally in the next preseason game. I want to see tighter coverage in the defensive secondary, and I just want to see a little more polish from the other quarterbacks. And again, I'm assuming we may not see Tua again in the preseason, which is fine. give Wilson and Ewers extended work, and I want to see more poise and just quicker processing and execution, because I don't want it to look sloppy. I don't want it to look like they're confused out there. So those are the big things for me.
Especially when you're going against teams that aren't doing everything, right? I mean, these other teams are not showing everything, and you're not trying to either. So just do the simple things well. I think that's what we want to see right now. All right, so Dolphins now at Detroit. They've moved on to there. Mike McDaniel spoke today. Also, check out all our content on 5reasonsports.com and 3 podcasts under our umbrella. So 3 yards per carry, inside leverage, and also All Dolphins with Alan Poupart. You can catch all of those on the podcast feeds, whether on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, Alex, thank you very much. We will be back on Thursday. And I don't know what we're going to talk about then. We are in the dead spot here. This is the ultimate dead spot. My Heat downloads are down the drain, but they'll come back. Everybody will start complaining. Everybody will start complaining soon. Also follow Alex on Locked On Canes as well.
Thank you. See y'all later.